President Benton, today it's my great honor to introduce a man whose past work has undoubtedly affected any of us who have ever touched a telephone or logged on to the internet, which probably includes every person in this great assemblage. Michael K. Powell is a former chair of the Federal Communications Commission. He was first appointed to the FCC by President Bill Clinton in 1997. He was later elevated to the role of chair by President George W. Bush in 2001. He served as chair of the FCC from 2001 to 2005 before stepping down. As the chair, he led the charge to open markets like voice over internet protocol, Wi-Fi, and broadband. He advocated for updating media ownership rules to reflect the then emergent technologies of the internet. And an achievement of his that's probably dear to all of us at a certain age who have had family dinners interrupted. It was Mr. Powell who put in place the National Do Not Call Registry. Today, Mr. Powell continues his work in shaping communications public policy as president of the National Cable and Telecommunications Association, one of the most influential groups in Washington, D.C. He also gives of his time and expertise in many other ways. He serves on several nonprofit boards, including the Mayo Clinic, the Aspen Institute, and America's Promise. He also serves as rector, the Board of Visitors of his undergraduate alma mater, the College of William and Mary. President Benton, it is truly my honor and privilege today to present to this great audience Michael K. Powell for Pepperdine University's most prominent distinction, the honorary Doctor of Humane Letters degree. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chancellor Adams. Upon your recommendation, I have the privilege to confer upon Michael K. Powell this preeminent award from our university. Michael K. Powell, because of your service to the people of these United States through 2 presidential administrations, guiding policies to promote and enhance connectivity, communication, and commerce for all Americans, because of your charitable and philanthropic work, lending your expertise and leadership to causes that promote health and education, because of your faithfulness to friends and family, and especially your love and devotion to your wife Jane and sons Jeffrey and Brian, and because the very example of your life, a life lived in true public service toward the development of an American communication culture that protects the dignity of the individual and provides just access to all members of society. Therefore, let it be known, by the power vested in me by the Pepperdine University Board of Regents, I now confer upon you the honorary Doctor of Humane Letters, with all the rights, all the duties, and all the privileges thereto appertaining. Congratulations, Dr. Powell.
Well, good, glorious morning. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to start off by thanking the provost and the faculty, the president and the administration, and the students for bestowing on me the exceptional honor of joining the Pepperdine community. This will be a day I will long cherish, and I am really thrilled to be here. And as I look out on this assembled crowd, I see a lot of joy in the faces of all of you, as you're clad in your caps and gowns set to enter the working world. But you know, from my perch, there seems to be some cause for concern. Why? Because the robots are rising. The cars are driving themselves, and computers are humiliating human beings in contests of wit. The most recent example is Google's AlphaGo computer that annihilated Lee Sedol, the reigning champion in a game called Go, a 2,500-year-old game so complicated there are more moves than there are atoms in the universe. Machines frighteningly seem poised to replace humans as tomorrow's skilled workers. So it might be understandable if you're sitting there questioning whether your years of liberal arts study have done much to make you valuable in this ex machina utopia that is unfolding in front of you. Are you just destined for a life as R2-D2's nursemaid? Keeping him cool, changing his batteries, maybe reading a little Tolstoy or Plato or Shakespeare to pass the time. Now, I know that millennials cherish their digital ways, but I wonder if you are being lured to your own demise. Could it be that while you're deliriously tweeting and retweeting, posting and reposting, snapping and chatting, the machines are modeling your behavior, learning your skills so they can cast you in a corner and leave you suckling your iPhone while they can make command of the work that drives our economy? Does a liberal arts student have a chance these days? There certainly is a chorus of critics who say no. To the minds of these naysayers, a liberal arts college is an expensive system that produces well-read students with no practical skills. To them, the arts and humanities should be pushed aside and replaced with science, technology, engineering, math, and of course, coding. My God, everybody's got a code. Well, I say these academy haters are wrong. The value of a liberal arts education is not fading. To the contrary, I believe that the greatest tasks to be accomplished in the modern digital age require women and men with broad knowledge, creative minds, deep intellectual curiosity, and above all, a strong moral sense. This is exactly what liberal arts colleges produce and what the world sorely needs. The world needs you. While creative destruction and disruption are the narratives of tech glory, they are deconstructing and eroding traditional institutions, changing societal values, convulsing political and economic systems, and changing the nature of human relationships. Making sense of it all requires more than coders and technocrats. It requires the perspectives of the historian, the insights of the sociologist, and the reflections of the philosopher. Weapons are not what will halt the spread of terrorism and religious extremism. What will are people who comprehend the fundamentals of religion, understand its true purpose, and can find a path to restore the true meaning of faith, forgiveness, and peace. In the digital age, the only constant is change itself. A large number of jobs today did not even exist 5 years ago. The furious explosion of technology makes it impossible to predict the world in 5 years, let alone in 50. In this ever-changing world, the future will belong to those who are adaptable, those who can change directions, reinvent themselves, spot new opportunities, and continuously innovate. Liberal arts study has molded you into that type of person. Above all, the most valuable thing that you have been taught is how to teach yourselves. You are capable of lifelong learning, and that will be your competitive edge in an unpredictable world. But making a meaningful life goes well beyond adapting to whatever vocation awaits you. In a world where many tasks will be mastered by machines, you will have to rely on the one thing that most distinguishes you from circuits and silicon, and that's your humanity. To cultivate your humanity, you must consciously move beyond the career-centered work of collecting data, accumulating information, and acquiring knowledge. A purposeful life instead is found in the steady and graceful and humble pursuit of wisdom. I reserve special admiration for Seaver College and its unflinching commitment to encourage you to that path. Its mission is to prepare persons to become moral and intellectual leaders and to challenge them to value service above material success. Wisdom seekers must divine their worth beyond the external measures of societal achievement. Wisdom at its core is discovered internally. It begins with understanding your weaknesses and your shortcomings and quietly attending every day to being a better person when the sun sets than you were when it rose that morning. The search for wisdom has never been easy, but today that path is obscured under the weeds of a culture obsessed with fame, money, and celebrity. Personality has become more celebrated than character. The loud seem more revered than the quiet. And I say technology is partly responsible. Yes, the candy treats of technology, while delicious, are siphoning many into our society into the shallows. Young people today risk being turned into self-centered, personal brand managers, obsessed with managing their image on social networks, spending their energies collecting likes and followers, and curating their highlight reels for friends on Facebook. In short, I feel like a nation of people chasing attention more than achievement. One obsessed with 140 character bits of information rather than words of meaning and substance. YouTube seems to be the new Andy Warhol canvas where you find your 15 minutes of fame. But if you want to find a higher purpose, you must resist becoming a celebrity apprentice, running around collecting trophies, trinkets, and certificates, titles, and big bonuses. You have to find the road to character. New York Times columnist David Brooks authored a brilliant book of that name, and in it he says there are two sets of human virtues: the resume virtues and the eulogy virtues. The resume virtues are the skills that contribute to your external success in the job market. The eulogy virtues are deeper. As he says, they're the virtues that get talked about at your funeral, the ones that exist at the core of your being, whether you are kind, brave, honest, or faithful, what kind of relationships you formed in life. This person wants to have a serene inner character, a quiet but solid sense of right and wrong, not only to do good, but to be good. He wants to love intimately, to sacrifice self in the service of others, to live in obedience to some transcendent trust, to have a cohesive inner soul that honors creation and one's own possibilities. A wise person cultivates eulogy virtues throughout their lives. A sage is forged in the kiln of time from decades of experiences that none of you have yet to have. But if you set your compass to that destination now, as you take your first steps, you will surely get there. To help you start your journey, I offer just a few lessons from my own crucible of experience. To begin with, a wise person is always confident, but never certain. A wise person understands that certitude can be a vice and that doubt rather than a weakness can be a virtue. If you appreciate the vast complexity of our universe, you know that our senses limit our perceptions to only a tiny fraction of reality. Much more is unknown to us than is known. Avoiding certitude leaves your mind open to see that you might be wrong, and it leaves you prepared to revise your opinion based on new facts, a new perspective, or the weight of a better argument. Certitude is blinding. It leads to arrogance. It closes the mind. Avoiding certitude, however, does not mean a life without conviction. In a world of ambiguity and temptation, you need a moral compass. You must develop principles that you compromise for no one, not for a loved one, not for a job, and not for a chance at fame or wealth. They serve as your anchor in a storm, preventing you from being blown away by the winds of expediency and help you be at peace with the choices you will have to make in life. A wise person is highly observant and understands the power of silence. Train yourself to notice the littlest of things. In my life, I mark when I see the first flower in spring or the drop of the first leaf in fall. Noticing lets you see more keenly into the world and gain insights that others miss in the rush of the day. Moreover, it keeps you mindful of the present, not stressed by a past you cannot change or a future you cannot know. Silence is golden, for as they say, when you are talking, you are not listening. It is a very powerful skill to be able to be alone with your own thoughts. A wise person practices gratitude, compassion, acceptance, forgiveness, and sees a higher purpose in life. Gratitude is acknowledging and appreciating your blessings. It's the outer expression of humility. Compassion is being in tune with the inner state of another with an intention to ease suffering and share joy. A well-known quote says, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." Acceptance means appreciating what is not in your control. As Reinhold Niebuhr put it, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Forgiveness is the choice to give up anger and resentment. It is the gift you give to others, even to those who don't deserve your kindness. Higher meaning gives your life and your work a purpose. It makes you happier, more focused, and more spiritually connected. And finally, a wise person knows she is mortal. When I sat where you are now, I gave no thought to the fact that the life before me would someday have an end. Often people first confront their mortality when they reach middle age, and their knees hurt, and their cholesterol's bad, and their blood pressure's up. But appreciating that life is finite while you are young will give you the proper perspective for living meaningfully. As Emily Dickinson wrote, that it will never come again is what makes life so sweet. I learned this lesson the hard way when I was just a few years from where you're sitting now. I was an Army officer in Germany living my dream. Then one day, with no warning, I was thrown from an Army vehicle and I lay in a highway with a broken spine and a shattered pelvic cradle. At that moment, I didn't know if my life had hours or years remaining. I spent an entire year in the hospital, relying on the skilled hands of others, the love and support of my family and friends, my own faith, and my own spirit to live, and my determination to find a meaningful life. It may sound odd, but it's the best thing that ever happened to me. For it taught me that life is precious. It taught me that nothing is more important than relationships. It taught me to move toward those who are loving and kind and move rapidly away from those wallowing in negativity and blinded by self-promotion and ambition. It taught me the majesty of the universe and how small I am in it. And it taught me the true importance of perseverance and the importance of pursuing wisdom. If I can impart this same lesson to you now, without having a Jeep fall on you, then you will have a life rich with meaning, and you will have nothing to fear from the robots. Thank you very much.